Did you know that the old-fashioned cocktail is an integral part of American history, as it has been around since the 1860s? This historic cocktail is perfect if you ever throw a party and would like to make a delicious and easy-to-make cocktail. Knowing how to create this cocktail will impress your guests and be a great addition to any celebration. Another great aspect of the old-fashioned is that it can be made with any spirit, so even if you're not a whiskey or bourbon fan, this can be used with your favorite spirit. I will now show you 5 easy steps to make an old-fashioned cocktail without formal bartending training. So, for our ingredients today, we have Buffalo Trace small batch bourbon, which is one of my favorites. You don't necessarily need to use bourbon or even whiskey to make a proper old-fashioned, but traditionally, during that time period when the old-fashioned became mainstream, whiskey was the most popular spirit of choice, so hence why that's how it's most traditionally made these days. We also have simple syrup. This is pre-made to save time. You can make simple syrup with any kind of sugar that you want. You can use turbinado sugar, which will deepen the flavor. It'll become more honey and caramel-like. You could use molasses if you want. You could use agave syrup. I just used simple cane sugar for traditional simplistic sake. It's only made with 2 ingredients, water and sugar, so it's very easy to make at home. We also have Angostura bitters. So Angostura bitters are traditionally what was used in that cocktail recipe. You can use other types of bitters. Some people like to use orange bitters, cherry bitters, mole bitters, habanero bitters, chocolate bitters, the list goes on. Bitters are known as the salt and pepper of a cocktail, so basically it adds depth and flavor and it really complements the spirit in the drink. We also have ice. Ice is considered to be an important part of any cocktail that is chilled. It adds dilution, which you need in order to achieve the proper flavor and texture profile, and also so that the drink is not so high octane and it's more palatable, and it chills the cocktail as well. And we also have an orange. An orange is used because it adds a lot of bright citrusy notes to the cocktail. It adds aroma. This is also, again, traditionally what was used. Some people like to add cherry to their old-fashioned. Some people like to use very fancy cherries. In Wisconsin, they don't use any fruit. They actually just use 7-Up. But again, for tradition's sake, we'll use an orange and just the orange twist, not necessarily an orange slice. Now we're going to make our cocktail. So we're going to measure out the bourbon. We're going to be using 2 ounces. You can use this tool, which is known as a jigger, but I don't really feel the need to use it. I have pretty good pouring skills, so we're just going to pour out 2 ounces into our mixing glass. This is our mixing glass. It has a very heavy bottom, so it doesn't really move around on a bar top or a kitchen, counter when you're pouring out your cocktails, which is nice. We have 2 ounces. Now we're also going to add our simple syrup. We add 1 ounce of this. We're going to add 2 heavy dashes of our Angostura aromatic bitters. Okay. And we're also going to now add our ice. Now you can use a big cube of ice. You can use a sphere of ice, and people like to do that. You could use pebble ice. That would melt a lot faster, but I'm just using regular ice cubes that you probably have in your freezer already. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix our bourbon, simple syrup, bitters, and ice. We're gonna stir it for about 20 seconds. We're stirring it for this long because this actually allows the cocktail itself to cool down. It allows for the ice to melt enough to have dilution. And we're not gonna do much longer than that because then we're gonna end up having the cocktail be too cold, which can actually mute the flavors and water it down too much. And traditionally, when you're making an old-fashioned, you don't want to make someone wait too long because that's not very fun. So, we've mixed. Now we're taking a Hawthorne strainer. This is used to prevent any ice from leaving the mixing glass. And it just leaves you with a nice, clean liquid. Pour that out. And now we're going to take our mixing spoon, also known as a bar spoon, and put some of the ice in there just to keep the cocktail cool, especially when we're in the warmer months of the year. That can keep things nice and chilled. And we're just gonna add 2 ice cubes, not 3. And then finally, we're gonna add our orange twist. I just have a simple peeler that I have from home. We're gonna make a nice twist here. And there we go. Now just using the peel or with the pith, it's bitter, but it also still has that citrus note that you really want. And we're just gonna spritz it over the glass, which expresses the orange oil from the peel, and it rims the glass so that it's nice and citrusy. So when the person who's drinking the cocktail, they'll not only be able to taste it, but also smell it. And there you have your old-fashioned cocktail. So I have just shown you how to make one of the world's most popular cocktails. It's a crowd pleaser for any event, and this cocktail needs only 5 simple ingredients that can be modified for your preference. It is likely you have a majority of these ingredients in your home already. Today I used bourbon, simple syrup, bitters, ice, and an orange. You don't have to be a well-trained bartender to make this drink, nor do you need to spend a lot of money to make this drink or to be able to enjoy it. And so now that you've seen me make this drink, I encourage you to have fun with creating cocktails at home and try out some new ideas.